Well, welcome to Whole Bible Study with your host, me, Tad Inoue. Our journey through the book of Leviticus has carried us through a landscape shaped by fire and silence, through offerings, purity laws, priestly codes, holy days, and the rhythms of rest. We've seen a world ordered around holiness, where every detail, from how you cook to how you forgive, points to something larger. Now, as we reach chapter 26, we come to the great crescendo of the book, the covenant speech. This chapter is the final divine address before the law-giving draws to a close. Every instruction up to this point, every law, every ritual, every rhythm has been moving toward this moral turning point. What happens here is both epic and intimate. Two futures are laid out before Israel, side by side, a blessing and a curse, peace or fear, fruitfulness or famine, communion or exile. The voice speaking is both fierce and tender. The God who once spoke light into the void now speaks the shape of a people's future. It's a choice between life lived in rhythm with God's ways or a slow unraveling of that harmony. The stakes couldn't be higher. Before we open the chapter, a quick reminder: the full reading of Leviticus 26 is available on episode 9 of the Bible Building podcast. In earlier sessions, I did the readings live on camera, but now these documentary episodes are focused solely on the deep dive study. The kind that asks you to slow down and listen to the text as if it was for the first time. The full chapter is there on that episode with all of its gravity and grace. So as we begin, Leviticus 26 begins with a warning that sets the tone for everything that follows. You shall make no idols nor graven images, unquote. The Hebrew word used for idols here is ilium, which literally means nothings. The passage starts by clearing the stage. All the false gods, the carved images, the distractions, they have no power. They are not just fake, they are empty. In the biblical imagination, the only image allowed is the human being made in God's likeness. And the only presence enthroned in Israel is the one you cannot see. Immediately after, the command shifts to time and space. Honor the Sabbath and revere the sanctuary. The Hebrew for Sabbath is Shabbat, and it means more than just taking a day off. It's about syncing your life with creation's rhythm. To keep the Sabbath and to honor the sanctuary is to stay aligned with heaven's design for earth. Time and space become sacred when you live them rightly. And that's the foundation of everything else that follows. When then, like the opening of a spring rain, the blessings begin. Quote, if you walk in my statutes and keep my commandments and do them, then I will give you rain in its season. That word walk is important. The Hebrew is halak, from which we get the term halakha, the way of life. Covenant faithfulness is not something you believe in your head. It's something you live with your feet. It's not just an idea, it's a path. What follows is a vision of life that's physical, emotional, and communal. God promises rain in its season, crops that fill the barn, trees that bear fruit, and threshing so abundant it overlaps with the grape harvest. The picture is one of overwhelming provision, but it's not just about food. It's about peace. Quote, you shall sleep and none shall make you afraid, unquote. In the ancient Near East, fear was the background noise of life. With no standing armies or secured cities, people lived under constant threat of invaders, wild animals, disease, or even famine. So this promise of sleep, deep, untroubled sleep, is a revolutionary vision. It's the overturning of a world defined by fear. God continues, quote, I will walk among you and I will be your God and you shall be my people, unquote. That word walk, again, from halak, is the same used in Genesis to describe God walking in the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve. It's not a coincidence. The idea is that obedience restores the intimacy of Eden. The covenant is not just about laws, it's about relationship. When the people walk in God's ways, God walks among them, not from a distance, not through intermediaries, but closely. Even the word for peace here, shalom, means more than just the absence of violence. It means wholeness, harmony, everything in its right place. It's not just political peace or personal safety. It's cosmic balance. The blessing is not just that your enemies are gone, but that your soul is settled, your land is fruitful, your God is near. It is the flourishing of the whole human life. Then without fanfare, the tone shifts. The warnings, they take up 4 times that. Over 30 verses of escalating consequences laid out with precision. That imbalance is not an accident. It reflects something very real about the human condition. We're far more likely to forget the good than we are to ignore the danger. The Torah knows how stubborn the heart can be, and so it speaks with urgency. It begins, quote, but if you will not listen to me, unquote. The Hebrew here is im lo teshi'imu. If you do not hear, not if you rebel, not if you hate, but if you stop listening. Disobedience in the Bible begins in the ears. It starts with deafness, not hearing the voice of God, not paying attention to the call of justice, of mercy, of holiness. The punishments unfold like a tightening spiral. Each stage ends with the phrase, and if after all this you still will not listen to me. Each cycle is an opportunity, a call to turn back, to remember, to repent. It's not just vengeance, it's mercy in motion. The structure mirrors labor pains. With each wave, the pressure increases, but the goal is birth, not destruction. At first, God says, the people will sow in vain. Their crops will be eaten by others. Then diseases will spread. Fear will overtake them. The land itself will turn against them. Wild animals, hunger, desolation. One of the most striking lines is when God says, quote, I will break the pride of your power, unquote. The Hebrew phrase is et geon uchim et geon uzchim et geon ochuchim. It means more than just humbling. It means breaking the illusion of self-sufficiency, not out of cruelty, but as a surgery, removing the false that poisons covenant life. As the punishments increase, so does the sense of distance. God withdraws. The heavens become like iron, the earth like bronze. The poetic symmetry is stunning. Where there was once fertile land and soft rain, there is now drought and hard silence. The order of creation begins to reverse itself. What was fruitful becomes barren. What was peaceful becomes terrifying. Then the threat of exile emerges. Quote, I will scatter you among the nations, unquote, God says. The Hebrew verb here is zara, to winnow, to scatter, like chaff in the wind. The people once gathered in covenant are dispersed. But perhaps the most haunting line is this, quote, then shall the land enjoy their Sabbaths, unquote. It is a chilling image. The land rests only because the people are gone. The soil, overworked and ignored, finally breathes. Even in judgment, the text shows God's concern for creation. Now, scholar Jacob Milgrom calls this eschatological retribution, the idea that the land itself is a partner in covenant, and when humans violate justice, the earth responds. That's not just theology, it's observable history. Civilizations that abuse the earth often fall when the land finally collapses. Yet even in the middle of these devastating consequences, there is still hope. Again and again, the Hebrew verb zakar, to remember, returns. Then when I will remember my covenant with Jacob, I will also my covenant with Isaac, and also my covenant with Abraham will I remember. Memory in the Bible is never passive. It's not nostalgia, it's restoration. When God remembers, things begin to heal. The text goes even further. Quote, even when they are in the land of their enemies, I will not reject them, unquote. The word for reject here is ma'as, to despise or discard. God says, essentially, quote, even in your worst rebellion, I won't throw you away. His holiness may burn, but it never abandons. The covenant, even when broken, still exists. It waits. Now, in Jewish tradition, this chapter is called Tokhechah, the rebuke. It's read publicly in synagogue, but traditionally, it is read in a low voice, quickly, almost like a whisper. The idea is not to dwell on the terror, but to hear the heartbeat beneath it, because within the rebuke is a path back home. From a literary perspective, Leviticus 26 mirrors ancient Near Eastern suzerainty treaties, covenants between kings and vassals. These treaties always had two parts: blessings for loyalty and curses for betrayal. But here, there's a difference. God is not a distant monarch. He's not a tyrant. He is described more like a grieving parent, warning not out of anger, but out of deep, aching love. The punishments read less like dictator's decree and more like a broken heart. In the Christian tradition, this chapter echoes through the New Testament. When Paul speaks in Romans about creation groaning for redemption, he's drawing on the same vision, that the land and the people are bound together and that healing must include both. Healing must include both. The moral law does not vanish with the new covenant. It's fulfilled and expanded. The blessings of life with God, peace, justice, mercy are still the invitation. The final verse of the chapter says, quote, these are the statutes and ordinances and laws which the Lord made between himself and the children of Israel on Mount Sinai by the hand of Moses, unquote. After all the thunder, the closing is quiet, almost like a whisper. It's a still small voice. The laws are complete. The moral map has been drawn. Now the choice is ours. Standing here at the close of Leviticus 26, we feel the weight of that choice. God's covenant is not a cage. It's a mirror. It shows us who we are when we walk in alignment and who we become when we don't. The blessings and curses aren't random rewards or punishments. They're the natural results of harmony or discord. To walk in God's ways is to live in the light. To stray is to stumble into shadow. And yet the last word is not despair. It's covenant. It's promise. It's memory. Whether in blessing or exile, God remembers. He remembers Abraham. He remembers the land. He remembers us. So as we close this chapter, what we hear is not just warning, but invitation. Leviticus 26 is not meant to frighten. It's meant to awaken, to invite us to see ourselves as part of something larger, as participants in the moral and eschatological fabric of the world, a people called to justice, a land called to rest, a God who walks among us. Thank you for joining me with this study of Leviticus 26. If this spoke to you, please share it with somebody who might need it. Your support helps Mustard Seed Ministries continue producing these documentaries and the Bible Building Podcast. You can support us directly through Patreon. There's a link in the description. May the covenant blessings of peace, fruitfulness, and memory dwell richly with you, and may your life walk in step with the rhythm of divine faithfulness. This is Tad Inoue, and I will see you in the next chapter soon.